Let's work. Yo, it's go time, showtime, never backing down time. One shot, yo, make it count, yo. Crunch time, shine time, make this moment my time. Get a grip, yo, ready, set, go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Yeah, it's my time, yo time. Step into the spotlight. Get lit, yo. Let yourself go. Our time, high time. Gotta go big time. This is it, yo. Never take no fight time. Grind time. Take it to the street time. Turn the roof off. Get loco. Game time, win time. We gon' bring it home time. No regrets now. Let it all go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder.
Good evening and welcome to Mountain Bears. I'm Aeson, and of course with me tonight is Techy Joe. How are you, Cubby, with the mostest?
I'm doing well. How are you this evening?
Being evil as hell.
You're being evil as
technology. Had to replace the keyboard. Hello, Miss Brenda. Hello, Shannon. Grab your coffee, your wine, or your whiskey.
Yes. Hello, Brenda. Hello, Shannon. Replay crew, please make sure you drop what you're having to drink on this Friday night, or whatever night you're watching. As you join in.
Right. And also, let us know. Make sure you comment. Make sure you like, you subscribe, you do all the fun YouTube-y things, the fun Facebook-y things. Unless you're a spell seller. And we're tired of you guys. I literally had to delete like 10 of them today from coffee and tea last night. This is getting a little ridiculous.
Oh, wow. Yeah. No spamming.
No spamming.
Don't spam.
All right. So we don't have an article, but we'll talk about it. I can grab one if you need one. Of course, the Murloc trial ended. Literally, the verdict was being read as we were on air last night with coffee and tea.
I know, right?
Yeah.
No one expected that. No one expected that.
No. It was like, we expected a 6-week trial. These jurors will at least take 6 days.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It was a big, long trial. It was a lot of evidence. It was a lot of, pieces and a lot of components to this crime.
Right.
You'd think.
Yeah. No. They were like, fuck this. We're done. We're out of here. We want done.
Mm-hmm. I don't think they were interested in rehashing it. They were like, no, we're good. 3 hours is how long it took the jury to return a verdict, or less than, technically.
Less than 3 hours. Now we know that he's going to appeal. He will appeal and 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 appeal. But we also still have him on another another 99 charges. He's got 99 charges and needs another one for, I don't know, lying in court, lying to prosecutors, lying to whatever. But, but he got 2 consecutive life sentences with additional 10 years on both. And it will be interesting to see if the appellate courts pick it up, because it's got a 403 one in it. And, this is something the appellate court likes to review, so they may look at it. What's more interesting is his assets have been under liquidation, because we know that he's the lawyer that stole from his clients. They've recovered $2 million. Of course, the firm went back and paid all the clients that he had stolen from. But there's other thievery going on.
Oh, yeah. Well, the law firm didn't really have a choice on that one. They were, and I see, but I still sit there and think that, I don't know. I have whole things on this case.
Go for it.
No, I'm just saying the case bugs me. Primarily in, I think this trial got so bogged down into every other bad thing he had ever done,
right,
that it seemed really easy And I think one could even make the argument, and I think it may be interesting to go back and find out, at least from jurors, what influenced their decision. If they inadvertently got bogged down in the, like, dude's a bad guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, how much of the decision was like based on what they truly think he did, and what he did towards this murder or these murders, versus how much is just like, you made your case for dude's a bad guy, guilty.
Right.
Like, I don't care what charges you put in front of us, you've proven enough things that he's done, and he's admitted enough things that he's done in open court. All but these murders. I struggle with, could you really at that point make a fair and impartial decision, or were you just so like blindsided?
Well, that's just it. It was one of the jurors are speaking out. And what they are saying is actually what convicted him was his own testimony.
Okay, how so?
Because he got on the stand and admitted that he had lied, that he had committed perjury. Said he wasn't there. He was there. And then the video. I was certain it was Alex's verse. Craig Morrow says, Carpenter, who said he recalled the background voice he heard during his first watch of the video captured by Mayloff's son. The video was taken at the family's dog kennel by Paul, and who was that night later brutally murdered among the mother with his mother. Everybody heard the voice, Moyer said, referring to the other jurors. Commented that it came vote came just hours after he voted to convict Murdoch, concluding that the small town, So yeah, it was the video. He knew what he wanted to say. He is a lawyer. He said, I don't see any true remorse or compassion or anything. What was more interesting here, and I'm synopsizing this, is not once did Alex say, I wish I had stayed, I wish I could have been there. I wish it should have been me or any of that. He did not say any of that on the stand. He did not cry. He did not show any remorse, any grief on the stand or off the stand.
I wonder, though, at the same time, if he's also being medicated.
No.
Because weren't there some psychiatric issues?
There's psychiatric issues, but there was no recall. Like the whole time he was on the trial, the only time he was showing any emotions was when it was he knew the camera was pointed at him.
Okay.
As soon as the camera panned away, he would stop showing emotions.
Yeah. Well, but then again, you would think that while he was on the stand,
right?
This is your moment, dude.
This is your moment. This is your moment to plead your case. This is your moment to, do things, say things, be, make it clear that it's not you. And the way he's done it in the trial, the way he appeared in trial, the way he appeared on the stand was like me fussing over who ate the last donut.
Yeah. I don't know, though. Not even lack of remorse exactly, as much as being sympathetic as a person of interest, at least, but as the spouse, as the father of the victims. It sounds like that and a little bit of cell phone video is the entirety of what the jury based their decision on.
You're right. Well, they found more interesting evidence in the Suburban's OnStar equipment.
Which that's going to end up being really controversial.
It will be, because it shows exactly where he's at every second.
Yeah, it just continuously updates not only just where he's at, but what he's doing in the vehicle.
Yeah. Like if he's turning the radio on, rolled the window down, has his seat, like it records all that. And I think that was like evidence upon evidence.
Well, I in kind of independent of this trial, I think it's also horrifying.
Right. Well,
like it's basically a black box recorder of everything you're doing in the vehicle, and this data is just going to OnStar constantly.
Right.
Like it's just constantly.
What I find interesting is they did not have that data at the beginning of this trial. That came in the middle of the trial that OnStar decided they would, reprehend or commend to the jury, to the court, the requested files.
Yeah, they finally sent it over and was like, oh yeah, here's that data you asked for. That we told you you couldn't have because it's impossible to get because all these things. And I wonder how well GM's going to deal with the fallout of that. I mean, I just can't see.
I would be pissed.
Yeah, as a vehicle owner, as a prosecutor, as a defense attorney,
as a victim.
Okay.
What? You can't tell me where my car is, OnStar? My car has been stolen. It has OnStar on it. You can tell that, Alex took 22 minutes at his mother's house and paused in the driveway for up to a minute. But you can't tell me where my car is.
Yeah. Yeah. I also I see that side of it, but I would also think that people concerned about their privacy should be really upset about the fact that they bought a vehicle. They're getting into a vehicle that effectively acts as an incredibly detailed. Granted, we all have cell phones. I get that.
Right.
But that more so gets into location data.
No, it gets into a lot more than location data. It gets into movement. It gets into use. I think that with the Apple, I don't know if they went into Maggie's Apple Fitbit because they were talking about the steps the phone took. But, it can get into, it stores a lot more data than that.
Well, and I get that, but that it has more to do with the phone and the usage of the phone, which is one thing. I'm talking about the fact that, this is storing, and again, I just can't call it anything other than a black box device that GM's operating, that it's telling you all the details and parameters of the vehicle at any given moment.
Right.
And it's just reporting that, here's your speed, you hard brake, you did you swerve, all of that is occurring. Did you use your turn signal?
Well, did you use your phone? Literally, it can tell you, did you use your phone, because it would activate the Bluetooth devices in the car. They were looking for it to connect to Maggie's iPhone, because we all believe that Alex threw the phone out of the car. But I find it interesting, and I'm sitting here thinking back to the Kia. We would get in the car, your phone would connect automatically. It always connected automatically. You never had to do any damn thing for it. My phone, you had to do something to make it connect.
Well, or more importantly, you had to get away from the house and be the only primary phone. Technically, the way it was set up is my phone was primary. Yours was a secondary device.
Right.
So if we both got into the car, or both phones were near enough to the car, then mine connects automatically. Yours it can see, but it doesn't automatically connect it until it gets to a point that it can't see mine.
Right. So that really wasn't much for me, but I could see the Lehman reason until you live with a car that automatically connects to Bluetooth. And that's like, oh no.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just like, no, that's not how it works. That's cute. That's not how it works.
Oh, they were trying to, okay, because of the data they were trying to find.
Right.
Not realizing that if he's the primary driver of the vehicle, many of these systems will connect to only one phone. Well, one, they generally connect to only one phone at a time. And two, even if they're capable of multiple device, it's gonna connect to the one that's the primary driver, usually, who tethers their device. I'm just, I don't know. I'm still horrified at the amount of data that, I'm
amazed.
Well, yeah, I'm amazed. I'm also horrified. I'm just sitting here going, did consumers really have an understanding?
Well, that's
you're going to go buy a GM.
That's a good question. That's a good question. How much information do you think your car carries with it?
Well, yeah, and more importantly, did consumers have any idea when they're buying these vehicles that this is going to be a pretty pivotal fixture in any trial for any car? Because now, like GM just let the cat out of the bag. We can tell you everything. We can show you in detail.
Yeah.
Everything that was done in that vehicle on that day at that time, like where it was, what it was doing, did they brake, did they do this, did they do that, in a continuity. I just can't see why any prosecutor would ever not be like, oh my God, it's a GM vehicle, please call OnStar and get me the data.
Right. Well, that's just it. OnStar is being very much not doing that.
Well, they haven't been, but now that they've done it, again, I can't see that not being, they're not going to have a defense in the future.
Right.
Oh, no, we don't know where the data is, or no, we just saw on national television. You're getting that data, you got that data, you can make this available. I don't think there's going to be a single damn prosecutor that isn't just what's the make and model of the vehicle involved in this situation? What does the victim drive? What does the perpetrator drive? I want the data. Get me the data. I want to see the data.
Right.
And it's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That. It really starts to feel very much like, you're going to be convicted on the technology. You're not going to be convicted on actual witnesses, actual motive, actual anything else. Here's the data points.
Right.
Here's the data points. You figure it out. You tell me what happened that night, because this is what the data says, and the data looks like it indicates he killed her.
Yep.
I feel like that's a big part of what just happened in the Murdaugh trial. Is it was here's the data points.
Right. Well, I think it was very surprising that he arrived at the kennels 20 seconds before calling 911.
Right.
And supposedly checked the bodies. That was a totally made-up story. He already knew they were dead. And he just pulled up, put it in park, and hit the dial.
Oh, is that what the GM data was showing? Is that he just basically sat there for 20 seconds and just 911, what's your emergency?
Exactly.
Oi.
Yeah, didn't even disengage his seatbelt.
Oh, God, see, that's one of those data points. Crunchy.
Yeah.
I mean, so in effect, OnStar was just a star witness at this trial.
Right.
OnStar sat here and told the story from the vehicle perspective, what happened that night. Of course, then again, that also presumes, did they get door open data? Did they get, and that's what I'm saying, because that's going to be additional pieces, because God knows it's the country.
Right, because what happens when you open a vehicle's door?
Pardon?
What happens when you open the Kia's door?
Well, the lights go on, and there's that little dingy noise on the driver's side because your damn key's in the ignition.
And it also creates an event in the data that the command center has come alive, or lights have come on, or this. Yeah, so when you put it all together, it showed that he didn't even unbuckle his damn seatbelt.
Yeah, the fact that they literally could have taken this data and mapped it into a software that showed everything that occurred, just put a blank crash test dummy in the driver's seat, strapped in, and you could show what he did when he made that 911 call.
Right.
Is that he drives up, he puts the vehicle in park, he sits there for a second, dials 911, doesn't unbuckle his seatbelt, doesn't open the door of the car, doesn't get out of the car. He does nothing.
Right.
So, like any story he tells of, I checked the bodies, I got out of the car, was looking for them, blah, blah, blah. That's all bullshit. We know that. Right. We saw the data.
Right.
Now, what I'm going to wonder about for a while is what, and this might be very critical and important, is how much of this data is stored in the vehicle and how much of this data is captured in individual event pings. And can pings get lost?
Well, that's just it. The data about the operation of the vehicle, the entertainment center coming on, connecting the phones, that type of thing is stored in the vehicle. It's that $500 to $2,000 computer that can go bad and wreck a car. The other is like the location, the speed, all that. That is actually stored in the OnStar system. And the FBI couldn't crack the OnStar system.
Okay, so more importantly, the OnStar system is what collects all the telemetry, basically.
Right.
Is where are you going, how you getting there, where were you as you move?
Yeah.
And then the actual black box, which is literally black box, is the computer of your car. They usually are seriously black boxes. That is what stores the rest of the data just on a continuous loop or just forever.
Well, it's
does it one day run out of space and write over itself? But it takes years.
Yes, it takes years. Because it's binary code. So how much binary code can go into an 80 gig hard drive?
Well, but then again, it all depends upon how many data points are you collecting, when, where, how, and why. Right. And how are those exactly being stored? What format are you using? If it's just a simple binary string with a timestamp, you could potentially hold a lot of data there.
Yeah.
Like if it's just time, date, stamp, and here's your thing. Now, I also want to wonder, though, if there's room to argue that this is the wrong day's data.
No.
Could you ever possibly argue? Because he lives there. It's or it's one of his homes.
Right.
He's there often enough. I wonder if they're ever going to be able to argue that the timestamps are wrong.
I don't believe so.
Timestamps are wrong.
Right. I don't believe so because they synced up through multiple devices.
Okay, so the timestamps of one device plus one device plus one device, because effectively you're going to have the satellite ping for the data for OnStar.
You're going to have the cell phone ping.
And the cell phone ping for the individual cell phones. And then the black box device in the car. There may be a few minute fluctuation, but you can find a point where everything hit at once.
Exactly.
And then line it across that, car hit the network.
Right.
Car, doors were unlocked and car started. And then, cell phone connected to Bluetooth. Which, moreover, I think I have a problem with the fact that also means Apple is storing a lot of connection data.
Yeah.
Which, not that that's surprising. We knew this, and that's been a thing. Especially over in Android world. It's not been as big a deal over in Apple world.
Yeah.
But it was a huge deal years ago. That the reason that Google Maps results were so accurate is because it was effectively using all the Android devices to gather the location of various wireless routers and map them.
Yeah.
So that it could even more specifically narrow down by the surrounding networks and the signal string where you were. And that became a big deal, that it was collecting that much data, that it was enhancing mapping function beyond GPS location, that it could get you into mere feet.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be between here and here within a square footage of this.
Right.
Because this Wi-Fi network is this far from you, this Wi-Fi network's that far from you, and this other Wi-Fi network, it's simple triangulation.
Right.
It's the same way that, like, cellular triangulation works, but on a much tighter scale. So, and it's the same way that GPS location works. It's a triangulation at minimum. Triangulation meaning you need at least 3 points of data to figure out your location in three-dimensional space using antenna signal, which effectively is what that becomes. It's a wave differential.
Right. But, and they did not even include, and they didn't bring it up in trial, even though it was talked about in trial, what the burner phone showed. I'm looking forward to seeing what the burner phone is. I wonder if they even got a hold of his burner phone.
Okay. So in addition to his normal daily use, like most people have a cell phone, so he was also operating a burner phone. Like, was that like long-term concurrent, or was that just a like recent purchase prior to the murders?
Long-term concurrent.
Okay, so usually that's indicative of you're doing something continuously illegal that you need to be able to talk about, or moreover, you've become aware that you might one day do something. Well, I say illegal. I shouldn't call it illegal. That's not necessarily true.
Right, because
that also comes up in like divorce trials.
Right. Well, we've done this.
Or
I at one time carried 4 different cell phones, but that's because I was traveling so much, and the way West Virginia is apparently the same way South Carolina is. Not all cell phones work in the same areas.
Well, and I think you see that in coverage maps for all providers.
Right.
Is there's just only so much they can all do.
Exactly.
And some of them, some areas it's really easy to get contracts to put up a tower, and other areas it's like, good luck. Like, where are you going to put a tower?
All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, let's talk about this Havana flu. We haven't talked about this, but it's been something on my newsfeed for a while now.
All right.
Hi, I'm Dottie the Psychic, and I'm sure you're wondering why I'm not wearing any makeup. Well, one reason is to irritate my social media manager, Aeson Knight. Hi, Aeson. The other reason is because I like to get to the naked truth about what it means to be a neurodivergent LGBT person with psychic abilities. I've got vlogs, blogs, and podcasts and videos all related to trying to live my best life and helping witches and bitches do the same thing. So, you can check all that out and get a reading from Dottie the Psychic at DOTTIEthepsychic.com. Safe travel and much profit to you.
Do you have a cute pet? We know you do. Each week, Tracy Van chooses from submitted photos a featured reader for her Facebook page and provides a tarot reading. Your adorable pet cat, dog, rabbit, goat, chicken, snake, or more could be her next featured reader. Visit tracybann.com, TracyBann.com, and click Featured Reader to submit. We look forward to seeing your pet next.
Hey everybody, Lady Gwendolyn here, and I am here to tell you how to get in contact with me and a little bit about what I do. I am the High Priestess that works with shadow work to help you grow and heal. And I work with access bars, Reiki, I do power forms. I'm recently getting into crystal healing, sound therapy as well. So you can go to Lady Gwendolyn Healing, that is LadyGwendolynHealing.com. Book your appointment with me. I do in person, I do over the phone, I do over Zoom. We can do that as well. My main goal is to help you grow and heal, because I've been there, I'm still going through it, and let my strength help guide you. See you soon.
Hey everybody, Natalie here from The Pendulum's Path. If you are in need of guidance, direction, spiritual connection, healing, or more, you have come to the right place. I have worked as a psychic and a medium for over 3 years, connecting people from all over the world with their loved ones, giving them insight and guidance into their current situations, their past healings, their blockages, and what they need to know in order for them to have a better future. It would be my absolute honor if you would come to my website at www.thependulumspath.com. Visit my shop. I have a whole bunch of crystals, oils, balms, mystery boxes, and more. And visit my services. I offer 15-minute, 30-minute, and 60-minute sessions. I also have email readings available if you're not comfortable with the one-on-one session with me, or if you just want to try me out. I encourage you to come visit me at the Pendulum's Path, and let's get you back on the right track today.
Oh. All right. Well, that was an interesting time.
What? Oh, yeah. No, I forgot to mute my phone before the show. I guess I'm getting emails.
So let's dig into this Havana flu.
So, yeah, U.S. intelligence community cannot link Havana syndrome cases to a foreign adversary. The U.S. intelligence community cannot link any cases of the mysterious ailment known as the Havana syndrome to a foreign adversary, ruling it unlikely that the unexplained illness was the result of a targeted campaign by an enemy of the U.S., according to a U.S. intelligence assessment published on Wednesday. The latest conclusion comes years after the so-called syndrome first emerged and defies a theory that it could have been the result of a targeted campaign by an enemy of the U.S. The new assessment echoes an interim report from the CIA last year that found it unlikely that the anomalous health incidents, as they are formally known, were caused by, interesting sentence there, CNN, were caused by a sustained worldwide campaign by Russia or any other foreign actor. Wednesday's assessment also goes further in finding that there is no credible evidence that a foreign adversary has a weapon or collection device that is capable of causing mysterious incidents, U.S. intelligence officials said. Officials also explained that the medical analysis has also evolved in a way that points away from adversarial involvement. Quote, I can share with you that most IC agencies have now concluded that it is very unlikely a foreign adversary is responsible for the reported Havana syndrome. Agencies have varying confidence levels because we still have gaps given the challenges collecting on foreign adversaries, as we do on many issues involving them, said Director of National Intelligence Avril Haines. The mysterious illness first emerged in late 2016 when a cluster of diplomats stationed in the Cuban capital of Havana began reporting symptoms consistent with head trauma, including dizziness and extreme headaches. In subsequent years, there have been cases reported around the world, including clusters of at least 60 incidents in Bogota, Colombia, and Vienna, Austria. There have been about 1,500 reported cases across the U.S. government in 96 different 96 different counties, including some cases reported this year, officials said Wednesday. but the number of reported incidents has dropped significantly in the last year. The assessment, and the result of the work of 7 intelligence agencies, draws on the immense resources of the U.S. intelligence community, including a review of hundreds of incidents and a wide range of factors surrounding them, officials explained. So, no definitive answers on cause. Wednesday's assessment, however, does not provide definitive answers on what caused the ailment that has sickened hundreds of U.S. government personnel and family members worldwide. There is no one explanation for these incidents. Instead, there are many different possible causes, including environmental as well as social factors and pre-existing medical condition, officials said. The assessment is likely to lead to further frustration among those impacted who have chastised the U.S. government for not taking the condition seriously enough or slow rolling the investigation. There is something counterintuitive to all of this. If doctors are diagnosing some of us with a qualified injury to the brain in the line of duty, and we are not saying it was a foreign adversary, what was it from? Said one former CIA agency officer who experienced symptoms. The intelligence community workforce was notified of the assessment on Wednesday. Officials said sufferers were notified in recent days that the assessment was coming, and some received a call from CIA Director Bill Burns, one source said. In a statement, Burns said the assessment is one of the largest and most intensive investigations in the agency's history, stating that it reflects more than 2 years of rigorous, painstaking collection, investigative work, and analysis by IC agencies, including CIA. I want to be absolutely clear, these findings do not call into question the experiences and real health issues that U.S. government personnel and their family members, including CIA's own officers, have reported while serving our country, he said. Oh, so it's an extremely aggressive investigation. The investigative efforts were, quote, extremely aggressive, involved a high degree of risk, one official explained. Intelligence officers vigorously studied what happened in the hours, days, and weeks surrounding the incidents, the official explained. In some instances, they found malfunctioning HVAC systems, which can cause discomfort to humans, and in other cases, there were computer mice that created surprising disruptions. We weren't finding what we expected to find, said one of the U.S. officials. There is no one explanation for any of this. So, it looks like
I doubt this is what I call a bluff. I think they know. I think they don't want to admit it. I think we have seen the same thing released on other things like Agent Orange. No, there isn't a case of Agent Orange. Or for the more younger viewers, the Gulf oil fires.
Yeah. I have some issues with this. And I don't want to go tinfoil hat on and go, it's a cover-up, it's a conspiracy.
Let's not go tinfoil hat. Let's go factual. Yeah. We know that microwave waves can and does create problems.
Yeah. Well, there's that. It's not unimaginable that one could have a weapon. I think their bigger problem is they're not really seeing enough of a overlap.
Well, I find it interesting. Let's see what's been going on for the past year.
Mm-hmm. So we have the war in the Ukraine.
We have the war in the Ukraine. We have Russia losing in the Ukraine. Okay, so where are you going to put your resources to? Trying to win a war, or just take out random diplomats for no reason?
Okay. I mean, so far it looks like the taking out random diplomats seems more likely than them winning this war.
Well, true, but they're throwing all the resources to fighting grandmothers with frying pans and beating their asses.
Well, no, actually, they're not throwing resources towards that. That's why grandmothers with frying pans are beating their asses.
That's just how lazy they are. But what I'm saying is, I do believe there is something on a microwave level. What I find interesting is some of the side effects.
I'm just wondering if they're not going back far enough. Is that I'm sorry, this is maybe a weirdo one for me, but I'm assuming that our intelligence community has some access to some very, very nice tech long before it hits mainstream usage. Like I figure some of the earliest developed cell phones went to law enforcement before they ever saw usage.
Right.
And I'm sure much the same for if anyone remembers the 90s, the satellite phone was the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like that
So
was you're a spy. You have to be a spy. You have to be a government agent, because who the fuck else owns a satellite phone?
Yeah. All right, I'm sending something to you in private to read because it's too lettery for me.
Okay, too lettery for you. Oh my goodness. So, including scientists inside and outside of government that found that pulsed electromagnetic energy emitted by an external source could have plausibly caused the mysterious incidents, while the latest intelligence assessment doesn't count out that possibility completely. It appears to cast doubt on it by concluding that no U.S. adversary has the plausible weapon or mechanism that would be needed for that to happen. I'm pretty sure if you have the weapon to make that happen, you don't go around talking about it.
Well, not only that, but you would still be in prototype division.
Well, I'm just sitting here going, I think the first rule of Havana Syndrome Club is you don't talk about the Havana Syndrome Club.
Right. But pulse pulse emitting electromagnetic.
Well, pulsed electromagnetic energy.
Yeah. Well, that
so
is hard to create.
Well, basically, it's a giant, massive release of. It's an EMF device, or EMP device. Excuse me, electromagnetic pulse. It's basically a giant release of electricity that is highly magnetized. That effectively can scramble electronics, and should have been a clear indicator that such a device being used. I think the problem they're having is that for the level of problems, it's not only that it's a pulsed electromagnetic energy, it's a focused level of it.
Right.
Is that you're not talking about go back to your sci-fi here for a minute. The EMP was the big thing, all the rage, early 2000s. So many sci-fi shows, TV, movies, all that did the EMP destructive wave theory. Here's the problem. All of those devices were talking about this one ginormous release that you can't control.
Right.
Good luck. It's going to go up like a flippin' nuclear reactor. Is it just mushroom clouds? Not in a that kind of destructive or radioactive force, but in the equivalent of just electrical energy being dispersed, and it's going to fry anything it comes in contact with that's electronic.
Right.
What generally didn't exist in those was the idea that it was going to be human harmful. Generally, in those sci-fi conventions, the humans are fine; they're just deprived of their technology because it no longer works, because it's been scrambled. But what they're arguing is if you could beam it and literally beamform it and shoot it at someone, and more importantly, most likely target their head, is what this would suggest. Because you're having memory issues, you're having this issue. I do think I remember reading there are brain scans that show alterations
in the human brain.
Yeah. So all of that would suggest it's a pointed weapon, or it's something that's very local. It's very localized. That would be your alternative theory, is that instead of being a long distance and beam formed, it's just a small, very local effect. Like you could put it under someone's pillow. It's not, or you could put it in headphones, or you could do this, that, or the other. That would be very small, very local, very personally disturbing, but not enough to scramble everything and anything around it.
Right.
So like a little baby e-impulse.
Right.
Which then further goes on to question, how small are we talking? How powerful are we talking?
Right.
How much there's a lot of little things that come into play there.
Right.
as to the viability of like what is mostly a theoretical weapon.
Right.
In this case especially, being used to harm other human beings.
Right.
And yes, to some degree, you would think that there would have to be at least one person in the world working on that.
Right.
And I mean, because there's always someone working on a next weapon or next device. So you would then think that there would have to be someone that you could connect to them, such as
Mm-hmm.
a major foreign government,
Right.
what like maybe through a trail of people, but fundamentally it connect to them to help indicate, okay, who the hell's doing this?
Right.
Like, oh, this one scientist over here was courted heavily by the Russians, China,
Right.
some random country in the world that no one knew we had a problem with, but hell, we have a problem with now.
Right.
To ultimately explain how do you get from what would mostly be a theoretical concept, maybe,
Right.
to a fully functional, highly practical, completely usable, discrete,
Right.
obviously no one noticed,
Right.
discrete device that you could put in a place or get near enough to someone to use without it being like, what the hell did you just do to the power grid?
Right.
Like, what did you just do to that entire bank?
Right.
What did you just do to the entirety? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's part of the EMP problem.
Right. Hello. All right, we're checking here. I'm here.
Is that
Joe's here.
I'm here.
There you are.
Oh no, it's got us. Oh, so yeah, so Shannon says the cats finally got to move in. My black cat is hiding under the couch, and the other one is trying to mad dash into my bedroom every time the bedroom door opens. Also points out the show Leverage has a couple episodes with an EMP gun. That's just taking it to the next level. But if TV shows and movies have it, someone's probably already started actually working on it. At least in theory, and that's where I keep saying theoretically.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's a lot of sci-fi that has jumped ahead on technology and theories,
Mm-hmm.
far advanced than what we actually have.
All right.
It's
Well,
the next theoretical evolution.
let's go a little closer home. Unfortunately, Tennessee has signed a felony drag show bill bans gender-affirming care.
So if that sounds familiar enough to you, that's because West Virginia was looking to do much the same. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
public drag shows will soon be illegal in Tennessee after the state's Republican-controlled General Assembly passed a bill criminalizing the performance art form, and the state's GOP governor, who himself has dressed in drag, signed it on Thursday. In a vote
Yeah.
along party lines, the state Senate passed the bill restricting adult cabaret performances from children's view on public property, with violators facing up to felony charges. Last week, the Tennessee House passed the bill. Governor Bill Lee signed the bill within hours of the Senate passing the legislation, according to local media. The law redefines, quote, male and female impersonators as adult cabaret performers and bans, quote, adult-oriented performances that are harmful to minors. Drag performances could not take place on public property or in venues accessible to minors. Lee vowed to sign the anti-drag measure recently, despite himself having enjoyed drag in the past. On Saturday, a Reddit user shared an image of Lee wearing a short cheerleader uniform, pearls, and a wig, while posing alongside two girls in men's suits on a school sports field. According to a caption, the photo is from a 1977 yearbook. After being confronted about the image of him in women's clothing, Lee feigned outrage that someone had compared what he may have done in the past to the false GOP boogeyman of sexualizing kids through exposure to drag queens, reading books, or singing Disney songs. Quote, "What a ridiculous, ridiculous question that is," Lee said, an exchange captured and posted on Twitter by the Tennessee Holler. Conflating something like that to sexualized entertainment in front of children, which is a very serious subject. You gotta love it when it's just bite your own tail. Just bite your own tail.
Right.
Oh, in the run-up to the 2022 midterm election, Republicans across the country seized on drag queens as a scapegoat for GOP outrage and political opportunism, claiming they pose a danger to children. Lee also signed a bill that severely limits gender-affirming care in the state, following other states that continue to target health care of transgender people, West Virginia being one of those.
Them. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Speaking of West Virginia, and I think this is horrible. I'm hoping that it gets took so far deep into court that it's going to be very, very deep.
Near and dear to your heart, honey. Shannon says, no more Dollyland if that was the case.
Exactly.
Because I do believe that Dolly has flat said she does female impersonation of herself.
Right.
That it is all drag.
Right.
Like, because, and if you go into Dolly's story, it really was. She crafted her stage persona, her image, her stage persona around, quote unquote, trashy women because she always found them really attractive. Like, she thought the big hair, big makeup, big jewels, big everything, big, just this overdone glam was just awe-striking. That to be able to look like that, despite the fact that these were women that, you know, members of her family and community constantly said were trash. And she said that. She said that in multiple interviews, I do believe.
Right.
Like, it's just kind of the recurrent Dolly theme. It's the question I always get asked, like, where does your look come from? Why do you dress like that? And that's what she's always answered.
Yeah.
So, yeah, poor Dollywood.
Yeah, well, you know, I think it would be interesting to see if Dolly actually took a stand on this.
Very true.
You know, because it would be very interesting if Tennessee began losing some of her benefit. And I think us fans should be calling for Dolly to tighten Tennessee's tax strings with this, you know, especially since, you know, drag queens are reading to children, and, you know, that is one of Imagination Train key tenets there. And I do believe Dolly has been quoted as saying this is a very sad turn of affairs. So we will see where this goes. We will see where these bills go.
Yeah, I could see Dolly very much showing up to a performance in either doing one of two things: either shutting performances down to a point that it complies with the law, and then stating that, you know, this is why I'm effectively a drag performer. Y'all could go to prison.
Yeah.
I could go to prison. Or Dolly having the moment where for the first time ever, she shows up without the wigs, without the heels, without the makeup, without the jewels, without the tight clothes, and shows up looking like her Saturday or Sunday morning preacher best.
Right.
And horrifies the world. Because I'm sorry, she's what, almost 80?
Right.
Like, hair and makeup and heels are holding her together, honey.
And glue, and there's a lot of things going on there.
You know.
Yeah. But
it'd be interesting. But alrighty.
It will be interesting to see what happens. Dolly normally does not take here. She normally doesn't make statements on issues like this, but you can see it in her actions.
Yeah, I was going to say, she doesn't make direct statements, but boy, she has a tendency to come out swinging.
she has a tendency to come out really swinging, and it's just very sad that we've reached this point in the United States that we now act like Russia on one half of the country.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to go to the other side of the country here in a minute, and they're billing it as one thing, but it can become so useful in others. But let's go to Fairness, West Virginia. And our lovely delegate Ty Nelson, who apparently is sitting on committees hearing bills like House Bill 3042, but at the same time is at the bar drunk. And we'll take direct quotes from him, shall we? Facebook users, you might want to head over to our YouTube because we may lose it on this one.
Right.
Ty Nelson, queer. I'm going to end him, you fucking FG. You fucking queer reporter. Whoa, man, Ty, what did I do to you that got you this mad? Nelson, I'm going to kick your ass, you fucking queer. Ends call.
That is quite the quote.
So it is being reported by the ACLU and Fairness West Virginia and a few more news outlets that Charleston, a sitting member of the West Virginia legislature, Delegate Nelson, reportedly harassed and intimidated a member of ACLU of West Virginia staff over the phone Friday night. On a call, Nelson, Republican of Randolph County, allegedly used homophobic slurs and threatened violence against the staff member. Hours before that call, the legislation heard a public hearing on HB 20, a license to discriminate bill.
So I just want to correct real quick. That's Delegate Ty Nestor.
Nestor.
Yeah. So there's been a lot going on with this one.
Mm-hmm.
Now they also point out, welcome Fairness West Virginia to this. They've released the following statement about the incident. There's absolutely no place for hatred and bigotry in our legislature. Delegate Ty Nestor. Pardon?
It's too late. It's been there. It's staying there, apparently.
Okay, so Delegate Ty Nestor's behavior last week debases the office he holds, and he should resign. If he won't, then the House of Delegates should, at the very least, censure him. The Speaker should also remove him from his committee assignments. Will any of that actually happen? Probably not. We've already seen how Speaker Roger Henshaw and other members of House leadership respond when their members get caught using anti-LGBTQ rhetoric. In 2019, then Delegate Eric Porterfield hinted that he would drown his own children if they ever came out as gay. What did leadership do? Nothing. In 2020, then Delegate John Mant got caught using homophobic slurs and disparaging fellow Republican legislators. What did leadership do? Again, nothing. Not long after Porterfield called LGBTQ people the, quote, modern-day version of the Ku Klux Klan, Mand called our community the alphabet hate group. Still nothing. I'm sure this incident with Delegate Nestor will be no different. The silence from Speaker Henshaw says it all. Slurs and discrimination are welcome in the people's house. Legislative leaders should wake up to the fact that ignoring this bad behavior is dangerous. The silence only encourages more hateful or more harmful rhetoric, and it tells legislators that using slurs is fine as long as they're homophobic. The people of West Virginia are fed up with the lawmakers embarrassing our state. Delegate Nestor wasn't the first, and he certainly won't be the last, but mountaineers must understand that legislative leaders aren't going to fix this. The only way we're going to get people like Delegate Nestor out of office is if we vote them out ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, there needs to be a way that we can sue. There needs to be a way, like, we start suing and fighting and going after them insanely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And continuing.
Sorry, having to do some cleanup here.
I know.
We had a little, there we go.
Yeah.
All done. we had a spammer in the chat, so they've been taken out.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Mhm.
Farewell. Do not return again.
Yes, there we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Now, it's been really unfortunate that West Virginia cannot seem to get out of this mindset that all we are looking for in West Virginia and our legislators is for them to come in and pander to, 51, 52, something like that % of the voting state. And not even really to any religious morality, but more so to a feel-good effort of hate. Create laws that are totally partisan and completely built around demonizing groups of people for nothing more than living their life.
Yeah.
Trying to help their community.
Trying to keep the paper. Yeah.
Like,
I don't know, trying to keep the lights on in West Virginia.
Yeah.
We're the unbecoming tax citizens that continue to pay for taxes and schools and roads and cars and all this other enjoyable bullshit. And gee, I don't use a school, so why am I paying school taxes? I don't, my roads are shit. We have to get our car realigned about every 6 months in this state and continually pay multiple bullshit taxes.
Although 6 months in this state, are you in a gated community?
Well, true. Okay. But they'll take a whole legislative session to debate where someone should use the bathroom or how to shut businesses down in this state. This is the Republicans that you guys keep electing and electing and electing. I say you guys because I don't vote Republican. I don't care how good of a Republican you are. I don't vote for you. You don't support the important issues in this state. You don't support the important issues or anywhere else except their fucking mind bosses.
Yeah. And a very understandable feeling in this, especially out of what we've seen predominantly. Out of those who run in this state is that it's extreme political division.
Right.
It's there's no middle ground. Right. There's no middle ground in West Virginia anymore. There's none. There's zero middle ground. You either want to live in the United States of Gilead, a la, Margaret Atwood and The Handmaid's Tale, or I don't even think we're I say it's horribly divided. That's because, one side has shifted so far. I feel like there's a large rest of us that are like, Jesus Christ, can you all fucking calm down? Like, can we not all just get along? Like, do we need to turn this planet around? Like, sit down, shut up, act like a decent human being. No, we're not coming for your guns and profits. We're just saying, can you be a decent fucking human being for 5 fucking minutes?
Yeah.
And like, give a shit.
Yeah.
That's who I'm looking to vote for. Personally, that's the why I keep checking all those D's on my ballot. Is like, can we just get like an adult in the room? Can we just get adults in the room, please? So we can have a conversation in which we are not sitting here demonizing every flippin' person.
Right.
And just, or giving reach around hand jobs to business.
Right.
Every time we turn around, can we just like maybe have a theory and a thought that involves the general people who live in the state and how the hell they're going to put food on their fucking tables, where the hell they're going to work, how the fuck they're going to get there, and how they're going to actually be able to work if it's not a commutable job, i.e. if you're working remotely. Because we have infrastructure issues in technology just as bad as the infrastructure issues we have with our roads.
Right.
and our water and our
Mhm.
sewer. And you name it, we have an infrastructure problem with it. And they are massive. And they are decades, if not centuries, almost, plural centuries at this point, in the making.
Right.
Because our general water system is 100+ years old. None of it was meant to last this long. And we just keep going.
Right. Well,
We don't address
it kind of reminds me of when we were down working at the Grisolas. We would make the commute every day from Oakdale to, well, not every day, but every day we were supposed to be down there. And part of the bridge just collapsed in the middle of them debating where to go take a piss in this state.
Yes.
The bridge collapsed.
Because that was the most important thing. That was the most important thing.
Yeah. So let's
they
go
had a whole ass bridge.
Yeah, let's go into a flip side of this. And, a state has now been moved up in my ranking to possibly relocate as soon as I'm able to.
Oh, yeah. So bills would let transgender people seal name change requests. This is from the AP and out of Seattle. You can change your name, but in many states, you can't completely shed your old one. Something that's of particular concern to transgender people and that legislators in at least 2 states are trying to change. A bill in Washington would allow gender expression and identity as reasons to seal or keep out of the public record a future petition for a name change. And a California bill would require the sealing of petitions by minors to change their name and gender on identity documents. In states where such petitions aren't sealed, transgender people can be susceptible to cyberbullying or even physical violence because their previous names, and by extension their lives, are an open book in the public record, advocates warn. Students, for instance, can and do easily find and share such records when they're looking for background on a new kid in town, one advocate noted. So Maya Zhao, a University of Washington graduate student, has changed her name in that state and said the publication of a transgender friend's name change records in an online forum led to relentless harassment, including hate mail. She wrote last summer to Democratic State Senator Jamie Pedersen to urge reform. Quote, "It feels very close to me," said Zhao, and who would not disclose the name of her friend, citing privacy. "I don't live a very online life, but it's really scary to know that something so personal can be so easily accessed by transphobic trolls who want to cause harm." Peterson is sponsoring the Washington legislation, which passed the Senate this month with bipartisan support and is expected to also pass the House. The bill is modeled on laws in New York and Oregon and would also extend records privacy to refugees, emancipated minors, and people who have been granted asylum. Currently, only people subjected to domestic violence can have their name changes easily sealed in Washington. Some other states, including California, also make exceptions for victims of crimes like human trafficking, stalking, and sexual assault. This seemed to me like a simple action that could go a long way in making transgender people a lot safer in our state, Peterson said. Some officials and law enforcement officers worry that criminals who request a name change could escape accountability under the proposals. The Washington bill would allow courts to unseal a name change file if law enforcement had reasonable suspicions, and sex offenders and incarcerated people would still be ineligible for a sealed name change. This is not the intent of the bill, and such cases would be rare, but there needs to be procedures in place to prevent it, Jennifer Wallace, executive director of the Washington Association of County Officials, said in an email. The approaches in Washington and California contrast starkly with recent and mysterious moves in Florida and Texas to compile lists of trans residents using public records, and as lawmakers in at least 39 states consider a torrent of anti-trans bills. Republicans, quote, disturbing requests for data on transgender residents in some of those states add urgency to his proposal, Peterson said. The Office of Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton last year requested data on how many people had changed their gender information on their driver's licenses. The Texas Department of Public Safety found over 16,000 gender changes during the prior 2 years, but didn't turn over data because it could not determine the reason for each change. In Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis asked state universities last month for data on students who had sought or received treatments for gender dysphoria. Neither Paxton nor DeSantis explained why they requested the data. Harassment from such disclosures can especially target young trans people who struggle with mental health issues or gender dysphoria, advocates say. The same internet forum that Xiao said had targeted her friend came under fire last year for instances of doxing trans people or maliciously publishing their personal information online, and has been linked to suicides. Oh, so peers may search students' names as they move to a new middle or high school and can easily find and share court records related to their petitions for a name and gender change, said Kathy Molig, executive director of the San Diego nonprofit Trans Family Support Services. She approached California Assembly Speaker Pro Tem Chris Ward with the idea for the bill after students she advises brought the trend to her attention. Many families with trans children aren't even aware such records are public, Molig said. Somebody's gender identity is an innate piece about them. It's intimate, she said. They deserve the right to the privacy around their identity. The California bill, which was introduced last month and has not yet been scheduled for a hearing, would require the state to seal any petition filed by a person under 18 for a change to gender and sex or to gender, sex, and name in identity documents. Also sealed would be documents from a petitioner's court proceedings. All right, so yeah, this it just gets worse.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, let's hit this last segment since we're almost done. San Diego lawyer Clarice Bartlett, whose 11-year-old son is transgender, said simply plugging his name into a search engine shows his legal gender change. He had insisted by age 6 that he should not be called a girl and would grow up to be a man, Bartlett said. He came out as transgender at age 8 and changed the name and pronouns he used in school even before his mom petitioned the court for a legal change to his identity documents.
Mm-hmm.
Bartlett said she thinks those records should be sealed for children and adults to better protect their privacy. Ward, a San Diego County Democrat and vice chair of the California Legislative LGBTQ Caucus, said he hopes this bill will reduce the risk of bullying for gender nonconforming children. He notes that being outed can be especially traumatic for young people who are still processing their identities. Quote, I want them to certainly be comfortable, Ward said, and free to be themselves. Someone who gets it. See, that's someone I vote.
See, right. Again, Washington's kind of rainy, but it wouldn't be too bad.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Sonia points out the name bullying drives me crazy. I've known quite a few people with typically opposite sex names. A female cousin, Dennis, a male uncle, Pearl, a female friend, Michael, and Wesley is used for both. Sex is in my family. A name is ridiculous to bully over. Absolutely.
Yeah. But, this is a level of privacy that I would assume should be automatic. Now, considering they can seal a lot of damn crap, why these documents aren't automatically sealed to begin with is beyond me. What's even more scarier is in the state of West Virginia, no matter the situation, you have to make a public notice for up to 60 days if you go to change your name.
Yes. Well,
not only from that name, but to the new name.
Right. And the legal theory behind it is to avoid what they were saying before, is people looking to escape something.
Right.
And the reason that it's limited to very specific instances where disclosing that could cause potential harm, such as a sexual assault victim, someone who is escaping escaping domestic violence. But generally, the reason they want to make this a public record, the original theory was to prevent people from and this all goes, follow the money trail, back to people trying to escape their debts.
Mm-hmm.
And effectively, I, Joseph Arrington, run up $50 million in credit card debt and, bad loans and car loans and all this money. And then I go 2 states over, go into court, and yes, sir, I'd like to change my name. I'd like to be Billy Bob Joe Bob. And file that with the court. The court says, well, there's your new name. Here's all your new documents. This is all taken care of now. You are now Billy Joe Bob whatever. I don't know. I was creating crap.
Right.
But here's your new name. You're no longer Joseph Arrington. You don't have to go by that. You don't have to recognize that. That doesn't exist. That person is effectively dead. Here's all your new stuff. Because fundamentally what then happens is, how do you make the connection? Like,
if it was that easy, all you get is a court order, just like when you get a divorce, ladies. You have to then take that court order, go to every other damn thing you have, get those name changes done, file for the Social Security to be transferred over, and it's still a rigmarole that's 2 years, $10,000 before you get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And then every 4 years, every year when you go to pay taxes, every year when you go to do this, you have to use both sets of fucking documents.
Yeah, you basically get continuously re-outed for your original name and your current name.
Yeah, well, there's an example. Today,
and there's no woman in the state of West Virginia who doesn't understand this, because God help you.
Right.
God
today
help
I had to deal with this.
Yeah.
We had to deal with this bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
I go to pay the the car taxes that West Virginia charges for, or if you own a vehicle in your name, to maintain the roads. I had to go take my driver's license, go across the street, get a birth certificate, come back over, present the birth certificate, because the freaking place didn't put my middle initial on my registration, but my driver's license has it.
Yes. So basically, they were running to the theory that there are potentially two different people with same name, same date of birth, and you're not the same.
Right.
You're not them.
Right.
And it's a level of ridiculousness.
Right.
Like, God forbid someone wants to, in this state, with my name, go pay my taxes. Please let them.
Yeah.
Please let them. Please let someone else pay my taxes. I would effing love it.
Right.
Please let
why
someone.
Normally, anytime I deal with this, I have to take my driver's license, my passport, some other documents with me to deal with all this shit. Just because the government is an insane pain in my ass.
Well, yes.
Have to present a court case to pay a fucking bill.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow.
Well, but yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, pretty much any woman in the state, if you have ever changed your name for any reason, and or just gotten married, period, at all, whatsoever, even if you didn't take the name, you've had the same social security card, it has the same name that is on your driver's license that you have had since birth, the fact you got married.
Yep.
Means you now have to present your marriage certificate, because it's a legally identifying document, one, and two, it's the potential of a different identity.
Right.
So you could, like, and this is how draconian I think this is the seeming theory is that effectively what the state seems to believe is that upon marriage, even if you don't use it, you still become the property of your husband if you're a woman. Because despite the fact you did not take his name, despite you never made any effort to take his name, this state acts like you did, or you could, that fundamentally it becomes an also known as alias.
Right. But again, it's
It blew my mind.
insanity. It's insanity, the level of documentation that the average citizen that isn't within standard range has to fucking have.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We're going to take a break, and then we come back. We're going to go straight into finding out if Joe's an asshole in multiple directions this week.
Oh, alrighty.
Welcome back, Goblins! My name is Jason, and I am the host of the Esoteric Book Club, a podcast that examines titles on the magical, paranormal, the mysterious, and the strange. I release 2 episodes a month, in which I review books on esoteric topics, recap news of the weird, and conduct interviews with authors, practitioners, and experiencers. The Esoteric Book Club can be found on every major podcast service, or can be streamed directly from esotericbookclub.org.
Hi, I'm Tracy Van. I provide a blended reading consisting of mediumship, psychic, and tarot cards. A reading from me can cover any guidance you need from relationships with your partner or your family, spiritual, financial, any questions you may need clarity on. If you would like to book an appointment with me, check out my website, tracyvann.com. That's TracyVann.com. I have bookings from 15 to 60 minutes you may choose from. That helps if you just have a quick question, need an answer, or if you're looking for a reading in more depth, I'm here to provide the guidance and clarity for you. Let's just figure it out. Bye.
Hi, Techie Joe here. I work with Aeson Knight, some of the best psychics in West Virginia, to create amazing live streams and podcasts for the Psychic Coffee Shop Network. Together, we brew up great content discussing news, events, hot topics, and more, all from a psychic perspective. On the Psychic Coffee Shop, we interview amazing authors in the metaphysical realm. Coffee and Tea combines Aeson with Tracy, Dottie, Natalie, or Lady Gwendolyn for the good and the bad of being a psychic. Shameless Self-Promotion with Dottie the Psychic talks to leading and emerging YouTubers and business owners in our community. Mountain Bears brings you the latest in LGBT news and politics. The Psychic That Plans answers the question of, well, how a psychic plans. Plus, we're live on air. We take your comments and your questions, including psychic advice questions. Check out our amazing programming, book an appointment with top psychics, and find out all the wonderful things we have to offer at pcsbnetwork.com today.
Hi, I'm Aeson Knight. I provide tarot readings covering everything from love and relationships to your life questions and your most spiritual answers. And also, I provide a lot of guidance in finances and divorces and all those relationship problems. So, if you'd like to get a reading from me privately, not on air, you can feel free to do so by visiting aesonnight.com and booking your appointment. I also provide on-demand services, so if your life is a little chaotic, you can go ahead and click that call now button there on my site. Great for a quick answer question. All right, guys, back to the show. Enjoy.
Okay. So this is a 2-for-1. Are you an asshole?
It is. So it's just one article, serves both purposes. And am I the asshole for wanting my partners to be in therapy / doing self-work? I, 33 female, am somewhat new to polyamory, but have been exposed to it for years and am in the kink scene. I have been to classes, seminars, support groups, and individual therapy. I'm not a book reader, but as I am trying to make it take it more seriously and intentionally, I have picked up Polysecure and Polyamory Toolbox. The best way to define my current landscape is solo poly. Also, I should say there's mentions of mental health crisis episodes below. Now, in my past romantic relationships and even friendships, I have taken on the role of, quote, therapist. I would say this started with a friend in high school who did end up taking his own life. And the aftermath of that was me being the main support person for literally the entire friend group. Hours and hours of listening to my friends mourn, helping them process. A year later, my brother died, and no one was there for me. My first marriage was a similar dynamic. I was in therapy to learn how to manage their undiagnosed ADHD and depression. I financially supported us while he played video games all day. This is a very in the nutshell, but obviously there was a lot more going on. I've had multiple friends have mental health crises since then. In particular, one friend who is trans femme has asked me to call her in the middle of the night to make sure she's alive. I refused because I'm not qualified for that, and if she needed that level of supervision, I felt like she should be in an inpatient facility. And now, a year later, she finally is, and it seems like it's helping. In other words, I have my reasons for the below. Meanwhile, I've been dating a non-binary person, assigned male at birth, 35, for 3.5 months, and they just broke things off with me yesterday. Their reasoning that was when we've had defined the relationship talks, I have expressed a need for partners to be in therapy. The second time they reframed it for me in that my level of tolerance was that my partners are in therapy, but that I can't make anyone go. I think that's totally fair, and I appreciated the reframe. Both of these conversations, I might add, I wanted to hold off for a day or so because the first time I had the worst cold flu of my life, the second time I had a gnarly headache and body aches. I did make my need known, quote, this is important, but I'm not feeling 100%. Can we please reschedule? And that request was barreled through and ignored, but I figured they were having some sort of anxiety, so they needed to talk right away. So after a lovely Valentine's Day and a day trip, all of a sudden the text became short. They put off hanging out again. I asked if everything was okay, and they said it was. But then, after their therapy appointment, whom they were seeing before I came along, they came over to break it off with me because I had this requirement and they want their bodily autonomy. I explained that because I wasn't feeling well in those conversations, I lacked depth and tact. And frankly, I wasn't feeling well in those conversations. And I rephrased the requirement to, I cannot be the therapist. I cannot be the only support system. I need them to manage their own mental health, and I'll manage mine. I can be a support. I cannot be the support. They said this wasn't a negotiation. They made their decision, but they still want to talk and be friends. I assume because it's a small kink scene and they want to go to events. They also felt like they couldn't meet my fundamental exceptions, which to an extent they are right. I am an extrovert, they're an introvert. But I also felt like that was the beauty of polyamory to me. I didn't have huge expectations from them. I didn't want to climb a relationship ladder. I didn't need them to be at all my overstimulating social events. I could only ask for what they're capable of giving. I think it's also worth noting that they've only been exploring their gender and on HRT for 6 months, and they definitely have some sort of depression, anxiety, and they are diagnosed ADHD, but not treating or managing it, which, to me, with something as big as gender, a therapist in your corner is the best thing you can do for yourself. I'm angry I spent all week with my anxiety that something was off, but I was told it was fine. I'm angry I wasn't part of the decision to break it off. I'm angry things I said while I didn't have the mental space for nuance are being used against me. I'm sorry I made them feel unsafe. But I am trying to grasp if I am an asshole because I want to make sure I am not hurting anyone. Is having a requirement for a partner to be doing self-work too high an expectation? Is it taking away their bodily autonomy? Oh, there's a lot going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me first start with the lead in on this one.
Mm-hmm.
I get where they got.
Right.
I get where they got where they got.
Mhm.
I'm like, at 23, you've been through a lot. It seems like everyone you know turns to you to be the therapist and the support.
Right.
And you've been through some very intense situations
Mhm.
that it sounds like, well, and I don't think most people are, generally speaking,
Mhm.
ready, able, capable to be the support system for.
Right. And that's where I'm at. Is I don't think they're the asshole. However, on their second restatement of claim, on the first statement of claim, I think they're a total asshole. I've seen therapy do wonders for relationships. I've seen therapy destroy relationships. It depends on the quality of the therapist. One.
Right.
Number two, you can't control somebody else's decisions on what they do with their mental health. You can say, not my problem. I'm not the therapist. Call your therapist. You need to discuss this with your therapist. I'm seeing signs of this. Discuss it with your therapist. You can make those statements. You cannot require therapy.
Right.
In my opinion.
Fundamentally. Yeah, no, I'm kind of there.
Okay.
And I don't think they're an asshole for it. Like that, I think it's two different things. Like you're asking, like, well, it's a multitude of things. One is, are you the asshole? No. Are you like having a really rough life filled with people that I think highly suggest they need therapy?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Are you taking what you're experiencing and kind of turning that into, this is everyone I'm ever going to meet, ever? I think you are. I think you're kind of taking that, you keep finding yourself in these relationships, and you're kind of finding yourself believing that this is everyone you can date.
Right.
This is everyone you're going to be with. These are going to be all your friends. And you're like, you know, what else am I supposed to do except be like, if you don't have a therapist, you can't talk to me.
Right.
Like, I can't be friends with you.
Right. And I can't be friends with her because, you know, I have a very coarse view on therapists, especially in this area. Very coarse view. I've made it clear where my view on therapy goes.
Well, but that's kind of in the same vein as what she's going through.
Yeah.
Every therapist you've third party dealt with in the past, but not in the immediate future, not in the immediate current. Every therapist you've previously dealt with was a total train wreck that took ordinary human sexual interest and turned it into sex addiction, and started sending people, because there's not a Sex Addicts Anonymous in this area, sent them to NA and AA meetings to like go work out their issues with their sexual addiction because they occasionally watch porn and jerk off.
Right.
Like, sorry, I'm just going to put it out there. Like, that was the whole social worker interpretation of a sexual addiction, was this person watched porn. And it's like, dear sweet Jesus, if every human being that watches porn goes to SA, not sexual assault, but sex addicts, SAA, Sex Addicts Anonymous, if everyone gets set there just because of that,
well, they're going to have to bake a lot more cookies.
I figure just start it in kindergarten and we'll just knock this all out by high school.
Right.
Like, just forget it. Like, we'll make it like the whole curriculum right there. We'll just knock it right out. At least start it by middle school. At least start it by middle school.
I have not seen, not counting the current therapist, I have a very, very cold opinion on therapists. They need to know who Mel Robbins is. They need to know who Brene Brown is. They need to have an idea of what the ethical slut is, or I don't have time for them with any of my partners in my life.
Right. Well, and I think more to the point is understanding what therapy is supposed to do and what therapy should never do. and generally speaking, therapy shouldn't tell you who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Therapy should help you figure it out.
Right.
So now if you go in and what you say is, I have a problem and I don't know what it is, and this is what I'm doing, and it's ruining my life, and it's absolutely horrible, and I'm making really bad choices, and blah, 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 blah. Looking at someone and saying, okay, sounds like sexual addiction, sounds like addiction in general, sounds like you have at least a compulsive behavior that you need to break in order to live your best life.
Right.
That's reasonable. That's what a therapist should do. If you go in and they just start bullying you with the, like, do you watch, pornographic films? Do you do this? Do you do that? Do you do this? And just start sluicing you out to programs? Oh, no. No, 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 no. No, no, no. Like, I can create a list of these, but my second one is, if they listen more to a partner, parent, or other than they ever have listened to you, get out. Get out. Get out. Like, that is not appropriate therapy. That's not how this starts. Your interaction with your therapist is your interaction with your therapist. Your partner is or your partner, your parent, your whomever is an emergency contact in case of, like, a horrible event happens while you're in a session. In case there is some disturbing development. In case, you need to be put into an inpatient facility. In case, they start you on a medication and you have a bad reaction. That's predominantly where your partner, your spouse, your whomever exists in the role of therapy. Not as the person who goes and says, here's my list of problems. I'd like you to fix these. If that's the situation you've walked into, get out. That doesn't work. That changes people, not in ways they want to be changed, but according to the designs of someone else. That's a disaster.
It's a disaster. But and I don't think that's what this person's saying. What this person's saying, I want you to be a better person today.
Right. Well, I don't think they're saying I want you to be better today. I just want to know that like, you're dealing with someone who's dealing with you, and you're gonna be okay, and I'm not gonna have to be the one to fix it. Much like Brenda says, a caretaker fixer. And I can understand that. That's a really hard role to be in.
So, the vote is up. If you believe that they are an asshole for going, I am not putting up with the model I got, you have to either upgrade or fix yourself. I'm not going to do it for you. The vote's up. Either they're an asshole or not. Now, we do have a softball relationship poly advice one. It's in private chat.
Okay, swing it over. You might want to hit send on that.
Okay. Well, I guess I could at least share it with you.
I know, right? I'm sitting here going, as you're saying that, flipping over, and I'm like, no, it's not. Oh, feelings, and would love some feedback. There's a few things going on, and I don't really know how many poly people, so I was hoping I could just unload and get some advice. My husband is on a first date, and I'm really happy for him. This woman seems cool and fun, and he's crushing on her hard. I've been going through a lot lately and have been depressed, so it's hard for him to believe me when I say I support him. But I really do. I don't know how else to tell him it's okay, and I'm happy for him. He's afraid he's hurting me, and I keep telling him he's not. I doubt there's a magic phrase I can use to fix it, but I was wondering if anyone had any verbiage I can use. 2, I went on a date last night. It didn't go well. The guy was fine, just not really my type. I don't want to ghost him, but I don't see it going any further. Should I just send a text message? He didn't text me at all today, so I'm thinking perhaps he felt the same way. Any advice would be great. Thank you.
All right, number one, the simple phrase is, how does she like her eggs?
Oh, really? Is that what we're going
Yes.
to go with?
That's what
How
I
does
go
she
with
like
most times. How does he like his eggs?
I mean, that's a level of nonchalant, but that falls more into the I don't care.
Uh-huh.
Like, I'm sorry, that's what I hear with that one. But then again, I don't think there's any good way to say it that's like, no, seriously, that is absolutely fine. Like, I am fine with this. I have no problems with this. I have no qualms with this. I wish you all the best. I hope you have a wonderful time. I look forward to hearing if you want to share about the wonderful time you had.
Well,
But
what
if
are some
not,
of your
that's
magical phrases?
Oh, what are some of my magical phrases?
Yeah.
I don't like. To be honest, I feel like sometimes I'm in her boat too, or their boat too. Because there's not any clear whether this is she or he that's the OP. Oh no, Girl Without a Planet 82. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with female. I don't know that I'm not in the same place that she is at some points, where I think sometimes there's that moment where there's inevitable, like, I don't want to call it anxiety. It's not like up there, but it's the like, okay, are you actually okay, or are you mad and saying you're okay? And I think that's just part of it. Like, I think she's trying to fix a thing that isn't fixable because it's just inevitably part of it.
Right. I don't know. Some of mine is bring me back a latte. Let me see the other ones I've used recently. How does he take his eggs? Remind him I don't cook breakfast. I get the first cup of coffee. Neither one of you guys have had overnights for a while, so I don't get to use most of those.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, and like that's kind of, I think, part of it as well.
And I think one of them that confused you the most is I need you home by midnight.
Yeah, that one messes with me every time. It's like, what? I turn into a pumpkin, you change the locks, like, what does that mean? Like,
you
what
have
are
to
you
be home
doing
by
there?
midnight because you get up at 8 o'clock tomorrow because you have a doctor's appointment. I need you home by midnight.
Yeah. Well, but more so my thing is,
right,
personally, is like, no, I really, and I don't want to, and I always feel bad when I say this because it's not accurate to what I mean, is I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. I do care. I do care in the sense of, like, I want you to go. I want you to have a wonderful time. I hope they're an amazing person. I hope, that you are totally safe throughout this, or as safe as you choose to be, that you only, do things that you want to do, and so do they. But there's no real good short version of that other than I don't care. That comes to my
but I
mind.
can tell when you want me to go on a date.
Okay.
You start doing dishes.
What?
I can tell when you want me to go on a date because you start doing dishes.
Price of tea in China. How does that work?
I don't know. You tell me.
What?
Okay, fine. It was one of the most comical things I've ever seen you write.
Where did I
Give me a minute. I have to go and find it.
Joe, have them bring you home before we go on air. I'd even go one step further and be like, or cancel or reschedule the show. One of the two, because I'm not going on air alone and facing Brenda and Shannon going, where the fuck is Aeson? Right. I don't know. He hasn't come home is going to sound suspicious, and they're going to call 911. I'm going to end up going to jail because that's my luck. And then you have to get home from your date and, one, bail me out, and two, deal with my very cold shoulder, and three, tell Shannon and Brenda to please not do that again.
Right.
Like, that's how that goes. Like, I could foresee that happening. Is if I go on air and say, I don't know where he is, they're going to call bullshit.
Uh-huh. Well, that's because they know you have a tracker on me.
I never hardly use.
It confuses you. Because we've been,
does.
you know, and he was like, what the hell, it messes up sometimes. And he gets really confused.
It's going to be like Shannon's. He went back to Mexico. Sorry, guys. I had a Italian soda that I'm not drinking on air, like alcohol. It's a Italian soda, and I just keep trying to drink more of it, but it's empty. So I had to trash it.
Right.
So I would stop. But yeah, no, it's going to sound like me when I said, quote, the hubby went back to Mexico. Yes, Shannon, it's going to sound exactly like that.
Yep.
So no, that would be my biggest thing. But even then, it's like you have options.
Right.
Like, it just let me know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be sitting here at 8:05 p.m. going, oh,
that's why I don't book a date on, nights I've got shows.
Honey, that's now every single night.
No, it is not. I do not have a show on Monday night. I do not have a show on Wednesday night. I do not have a show on Saturday night.
Most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hold on. This week, you were on air Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night.
Uh-huh.
You're going to thankfully get Saturday off because, technically we're going to be on the road, so that would be hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're back on Sunday.
Right.
Like, you have one date night this week.
Right.
Two if you count Monday.
Yeah.
But no, I'm just more so teasing him. But no, it's and I really don't sometimes I just use the phrase "take my husband, please."
Mm-hmm.
Which has become I think probably going to end up merch, with the backside saying you'll try to return him, and I have a no refunds or exchanges policy.
Uh-huh.
Oh, come on, it's funny.
It is.
It'll make a cute shirt.
I think it would. Which, remind me I've got codes to send out.
Yes, there are discount codes, guys. You baristas are getting your discount codes. He will be sending to y'all.
Yep.
Yes. Oh, Brenda says, Joe says, I don't know where Aeson is. Shannon and I start a private Find Aeson chat with the baristas and other psychics.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Lord. Oh, no, please, no. You don't want to find him.
Do what?
It's going to be awkward. I'm just saying, go with psychics that don't know him. This could be awkward. Whoa! Not what I wanted to look through and see. Okay, got it. No, he's fine.
Yeah.
He's fine. Investigation over. Case closed. He'll be home in a little while.
Oh, damn it.
What?
Let me tell you what it's over, and then you can laugh and tell the story without leaving identifying marks.
Okay. He finally lost one of our transcripts for the court case that is our relationship.
I did not lose a transcript. I forgot to take a screenshot.
See that he doesn't technically deny that this is a court case as a relationship, or a relationship as a court case. I don't know which.
I have dossiers, okay? I have dossiers. My memory sucks, so I keep a dossier.
Yes, and then he refers to the transcript later. Really? On the 4th of June, 2021, you said the following, and I quote. All right, so let me go over here to private chat so I can see what we're talking about. Oh, no. Actually, no, that's not how that worked. You got that one backwards.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I know what he's talking about right now. we got into this weirdo cycle where I don't normally do the dishes. I don't. It kills my back. I hate doing dishes. I'll scrub all the toilets you want me to scrub gladly. I effing hate standing in a kitchen doing dishes. It kills me. So, anyway, we got into this thing that someone that he's seen for quite a while. Every time I did dishes, they showed up. Every time I went in the kitchen and did dishes, they would text they're on their way over. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Every time I do dishes, every time, every single time. I should know that at the point in which I am feel compelled by walking in the kitchen to do dishes. This partner is going to come over and see you. They will message you. I need to just tell you, be on the lookout. Go take a shower. Get prepared. Clear your schedule. They are coming over tonight. I will guarantee it. I will guarantee it. Because that's how it went. Every single time. Over and over. And I was like, this is the craziest shit I've ever seen. Because it's a rare instance. It's like a lightning strike almost that I go in the kitchen and go, oh my God, I'm doing dishes. It's rare. But when it happens, it really did get serious that, oh my God, there they are. What the hell? Why? Why is it every time I am covered in dish soap and dirty dishwater and my back hurts, do you come through the kitchen going, blank will be over tonight? And it's like, are you effing kidding me? Not because I'm upset they're coming over. It's just the connection. How?
Right.
The first time it's oh, okay. The second time it's okay. Third time, interesting. Fourth time, really? Fifth time, you telling me they're coming over. This is the fifth time I've done dishes and they have come over in a row. Do you just see me do dishes and message them? What happened?
Right.
No, they just spontaneously messaged, said they're coming over tonight.
Yeah. Because, sorry, most people message me. I don't message them. But no.
Did they drive past the house and see me standing at the kitchen sink and go, I'm going over tonight because the dishes are clean? What?
I don't know. I just find it interesting. And I've noticed that, I take it as a sign sometimes if he starts cleaning around the kitchen. Must be time for me to make sure I get a night out.
Oh, no, they were already over on Wednesday and I didn't do the dishes.
No, you wiped the stove off this morning, though, so I might see him before next Wednesday.
Oh, God, I did clean on the kitchen before they came over.
Yes.
Oh, my God, I didn't even connect that. So it's not even just doing the dishes. If I clean something in the kitchen.
Yeah, I'm still not sure what's up with that one.
I know they're kind of pockety size. You're not they aren't normally in a thing that would generally be referred to as a lamp. And I am rubbing it the wrong way.
No, they're not.
Rub the stove and they appear.
No.
Because I'm sorry, Disney taught me to expect better.
I know.
I'm just going to say, Disney taught me to expect better. Not because that partner is bad in any way. Don't take it that way. I mean, if I rub a lamp and a genie comes out, it better be fucking Robin Williams back from the dead live in stereo. That's what
and granting you 3 wishes.
Yes! And I need a monkey and a carpet. So 2 are covered. Definitely not hooking up with Jasmine.
You know what happened to carpets in this house?
It's a flying carpet. I can park it on the roof.
Okay.
It'll keep it clean.
All right, on to topic number 2.
Okay, sorry. Hi.
Hi, welcome back. I'm
topic
starting to get scared. Topic covered, topic well covered. find your magic words. Mine, is normally how do they like their eggs and remind them I get the first cup of coffee in the morning and they shouldn't talk to me before that. And it's my morning, not theirs.
How dare you? Her. How dare she? You'd go for Jafar. No. No. I'm already dating one evil villain. For God's sakes, I don't need two. That is not a love triangle anyone wants to be a part of. That is like, no. Think of the savings on gas with a flying carpet. Hello.
In this wind, I don't think so.
I know. Break rumors, arboristas. Y'all got a fun one today. I hope you appreciate it. It looked like y'all did.
Yep. All right. So, who texts first on the date? Normally, if you're in a cis relationship, it's the masculine person. Otherwise, the rule is if you ask them out, you do the follow-up. Unless the waitress hands you the check, and then it's your responsibility.
See, I never played by dating rules.
I know.
Like, I wasn't good at that crap.
Yeah.
So I didn't even try, like, the wait 3 days before you call them and blah, 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 blah.
See, I don't like the wait 3 day thing. That's like old school. It's 3 days before you add them to Facebook. No, 3 dates.
Yeah. No. Well, no, I'm not even there. Usually someone's already been... Well, I don't necessarily add people to Facebook, but if I'm gonna, I don't really care when.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm definitely not gonna
Right.
if we have the date and I'm like,
Right.
No.
Right.
No, you don't get a second chance. No.
No.
Because I'm pretty open. I will give people second, third, 53rd, 255,000th or third, whatever chances. So it like you got to do really bad.
See, yeah, and that's where we differ in it.
I'm not saying it's never happened. I've done it. I've had one date with people before and been like, never again.
Yeah.
Nope, never again.
You get one date, maybe two to impress me. If you don't impress me, no.
Yeah. Next.
I have more applications to review.
Yeah. Dating is where he turns into a total Karen, may I point out. Like, he will want to see your manager, and by that he means your mama, to figure out what the hell is going on in this establishment.
Mm-hmm.
If you show up for a date and you are not of quality.
Yeah.
It's an experience y'all should have. With someone, not necessarily him. I'm just saying it is a sight to behold. But anywho, no, I don't follow any of that. I don't recommend following any of that. I feel like it's this weird.
No, when it's a dead date, not a good date, a dead date.
If it's a dead date, I think it's like Band-Aids. The faster you rip it off, the less likely you are to let it fester.
Well, if it's a bad date, I would not be texting them going, "Oh, it was so nice to see you."
Yeah, no, don't do that. But I think you can say things like, well, it was really, great to get to go out.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciated, the experience.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're right for each other. I hope you understand. And just kind of let it drop.
Right.
More than likely, you're going to get, because it's rare people either go on a bad date or a mediocre date or a dead date. And it's a one-sided event.
Right.
It's also better to know if you do go out on a date with someone and it's a one-sided experience, that you had an experience and they had an experience.
Mm-hmm.
And those two are very different experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's usually a good warning
Mm-hmm.
that you're dealing with someone that you don't want to be dealing with and that you need to make sure to lock them out of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure to move on quickly.
Right.
Far, far away as possible.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Brenda says, it was interesting. LOL, my word, when I'm trying to be nice about anything. So her interesting is they're sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're sweet.
Yeah.
I do it. I understand, Brenda. I understand that. Well, it was interesting.
My comment normally is I should have took a book.
Yeah, that is technically literally what he says. I should have took a book. Which there's depth to that comment that isn't obvious and clear, that you have to get to know you to know how much you have to dislike a date to read a book on a date. Like that's a level of like, wow. I don't know that I have any one specific thing I've ever said that was like a code word. I have code words for friends that are complicated, and they're sweet. I've never said that about a bad date. I have in turn. I'm pretty brutal in reality. Right. Is that, well, I'm never doing that again. Mm-hmm. I've also been known to say, well, that was a first, last, and hopefully only experience.
Right.
And I've been known to say that one needs locked up and never let out.
Right.
But I've never quite spicy book in purse, LOL. Oh yeah, no, not even spicy. Not even spicy.
Not even spicy. No, I'm talking like, I don't know, quantum physics for the new age.
I think I could judge how good a date was for you based on like, so how was the menu?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's another thing that trips him up in restaurants are menus.
Yes.
Like the light level, the font size, the fact that so many restaurants are now using this like really expensive paper that's really hard to see text against.
Mm-hmm.
All messes him up. And please, dear God, will people stop using papyrus as a font on menus? Don't do it. Don't do it. Just please stop doing it. But anyway, but if he can come home and tell me like 2/3 of the menu, I don't really have to ask.
Right.
How was the date?
Right.
Because if he's if he's telling me more about the restaurant than the date, I think I already know.
Right.
I already know.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, no, if you've read the menu, then yeah, no.
About the time to read the menu and describe what foods are, tell you about the waitresses, it wasn't a good day. And the art of dating is almost dead.
I don't know. Then again, I never expect much out of a date. I take it on its very basic premise.
Mm-hmm.
This is an opportunity at a place and time to meet another human, see if we can get along together and not get food poisoning.
Right.
Like, that's it. That's my whole premise for a date. Can we get along together and not get food poisoning? Because I will count major points against you.
Right.
Major points against you in a date. If you take me to a restaurant that requires a hospital admin, like
depending on it. Now,
depending on it.
Depending on it. If you take me out to Las Vegas, I'll be very happy to go to Heart Attack. It looks like a very interesting restaurant. I am not one to take over to insults.
You're what now?
That restaurant that just insults you. You get what you get.
Oh, Dick's Last Resort.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dick's Last Resort. No, I could totally go for that. I would have a blast.
See, that's not my style. No.
Well, see, now I've been on a date where someone was joking on the way to the date, and this was not him. This wasn't him. This has been at this point, many years ago. I went on a date, and on the way over, because we had planned this date to go bowling.
Mm-hmm.
And they happened to mention on the way over, it's been so long since I've been bowling, I probably need the bumper guards.
Right.
If y'all don't know by now, am an eternal smartass. That was the wrong words to say to me. It locked in.
Right.
We go in for this date. We're getting our shoes, getting our lane, all that. And I just look at the guy and very calmly, very nonchalantly, like it's nothing, say, oh, and can you put up the bumpers?
Right.
My date is mortified. Like, I cannot, like, and just like this look of like, oh my God. The bowling alley guy is like, wait, what? And I repeated myself.
Right.
And just between the look on my date's face, the you know, the fact that I cannot believe two adults just asked this, the guy was like, you cannot be serious. And I said, I'm not. I'm just having some fun. And so he laughed, found it hysterical. Anyway, we go to our lane. We've got our shoes. My date is looking at me like, I cannot believe you just did that. And I'm like, what? You said.
Right.
And it's like, I did not mean it. And I'm like, I should have warned. I'm a smartass. This is what you have to record to. I'll self-select. Like, I will self-select. I will give you every reason not to do a second date with me.
Right.
Every time.
Right.
All right. Okay. So, yeah. Looks like we got a few things going on with clients. That's what we were finding out here at the end of the show. So that's okay. We'll get on that.
Right.
And
we're at the 2-hour mark, guys. So that's our dating advice. And let's go and finish the poll. I believe the poll is no, you are not an asshole for not selecting. It's like I don't cook breakfast. That's a rule of mine. You want breakfast, you cook it yourself. I'm having mine out of the mason jar or pitcher, depending on which house I'm at.
Well, that sounds like you're an alcoholic. He's talking about his shakes. He's talking about his shakes. They're non-alcoholic. It's not like he's having mudslides for breakfast. I hope. Explain a lot, though. I've got to sniff your shakes now.
Well, now you can actually have one of my shakes. I can just make you one too. Yeah.
I know.
All right, guys. Well, we will see you on Sunday night. Have a joyous weekend and be safe out there. The winds are high. Bye, guys.
Oh, yeah. So, of course, we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Charles Shaw, Dottie the Psychic, Tracy Van, Caitlin Bell, and Devin. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our Patreons receive, please visit us at pcsbnetwork.com.
And good night, y'all.
Good night.